There are moments when the biggest headline hides the real story. This week, everyone was talking about Iran, about a possible agreement, about the Strait of Hormuz, about Lebanon, and about the threat that Hezbollah still holds over Israel. But inside all of that noise, one very unusual claim about how it happened came out of Tehran. Israel, according to the Revolutionary Guards, used ballistic missiles that were launched from an aircraft. Israel has not confirmed any of this, and we need to say that clearly from the beginning, because we do not know what exact weapon was launched from which aircraft, from which area, or along what route. But precisely because it is not confirmed, and precisely because the claim is coming from the Iranian side, we need to stop and understand what stands behind this term. Because if Iran chooses to speak publicly about this kind of weapon, it may be trying to explain to its own people how Israel managed to strike, but at the same time, it also exposes what worries Tehran the most: the possibility that Israel's Air Force no longer has to enter deep into the Iranian airspace in order to strike deep inside Iran. This is not just another missile. It is a different way of thinking about an airstrike. For years, we have been used to imagining an air force that is operated in a fairly simple way. A plane takes off, penetrates the enemy's territory, approaches the targets, releases a smart bomb, and then returns to base. But the capability that is being discussed now is different. Here, the aircraft does not have to be directly over the target. Sometimes, it does not even need to get that close. It becomes a mobile launcher in the sky. It releases a very fast weapon, which climbs upward, enters a ballistic or a semi-ballistic trajectory, and then dives towards the target at a high speed. For the enemy's air defensive systems, this creates a much harder puzzle. The launch point is not fixed. The direction of the arrival can change. The response window is shown, and the radars, they need to understand in real time what's going on, what exactly has been launched, where it came from, where it is going to, and how many seconds remain before impact. There is almost no open operational experience in the world that can teach us much about this field. Ground-launched ballistic missiles exist in many countries. Cruise missiles exist in many militaries. But a ballistic missile or a semi-ballistic weapon launched from an aircraft at high speed from a long range against a deep target, that's a different world. Very few countries have capabilities like this, or anything close to this. And even fewer are willing to talk about them. So the story here is not only what Israel may have done, the story is why such a capability changes the way that Iran, Hezbollah, and even the regional air defensive systems must think about the skies. So to understand this, we need to begin with a simple difference. A cruise missile usually fires from a small aircraft. It can fly low, it can change route, it can try to bypass the radars. Its advantage is sophistication and maneuverability. Its disadvantage is that in many cases, it is slower. A ballistic missile, by contrast, takes a higher and faster trajectory. It does not wander on its way to the target. It arrives with great energy in a short time and often at a speed and a steep angle of impact that is very, very hard to intercept. Now, add the aircraft into this equation. A regular ballistic missile is launched from the ground even if the launcher is mobile. There is still a starting point of the ground. But when that same idea moves into the air, the aircraft itself determines the launch point. It can launch from a different place each time. It can approach up to a certain point, remain outside the enemy's defenses and air defenses envelope, and send the weapon forward. The advantage here is not only range or speed. It is mainly the uncertainty that this method carries on the other side. And that uncertainty, it matters especially in the Iranian arena. Iran has built air defenses arrays around sensitive facilities, radars, surface-to-air missiles, batteries, detection sites, command and control systems. It has also built depth, distance, facilities underground, infrastructure underneath the mountains, production sites, and a missile network spread over a large territory of the country. From Tehran's point of view, distance is part of the defense. But a weapon launched from an aircraft at a long range attacks exactly this logic. It tells the Iranians, even if you protect the airspace, even if you build a defensive ring around the target, even if you assume the aircraft will have to enter the danger zone, the threat may still come from the outside at a high speed from an angle that you did not prepare for, with very little time to respond. This is why the Iranian claim is so interesting right now. It may be exaggerated, it may not be technically precise, but the Iranians may be using the phrase air-launched ballistic missiles to describe a fast standoff weapon, a semi-ballistic weapon, or a supersonic weapon. But even then, the choice of that term says something. It means that the Iranians are identifying a new problem, not only aircraft penetration, but a strike in which the aircraft stays further away, while the weapon does the dangerous work. So over the years, several Israeli systems have been linked to this world. RAFAEL's rockets is described as a long-range air-to-surface weapon, designed to hit high valuable targets even in GPS-jammed environments. Rampage, produced by the Elbit Systems and Israel Aerospace Industries, is described as a supersonic precise air-to-space weapon designed to be launched from outside of the enemy's air defenses range. And then there is the Sparrow family, developed by RAFAEL originally as target missiles for aero missile defenses tests, meaning missiles built to simulate the enemy ballistic missiles. We need to be precise here. Not every one of these systems is necessarily a ballistic missile. In the classic sense, some are fast weapons, some are semi-ballistic, some are designed for standoff launch, meaning they are fired from a distance. But from the enemy's point of view, the question is not always what the weapon is called in the catalog. The question is how fast it arrives, how hard it is to detect the launch point, and how much time is left to intercept it before it explodes. The example that demonstrates this more than anything else is the strike in Doha. According to American reports, Israeli fighter jets launched missiles towards a target connected to Hamas leadership in the capital of Qatar, Doha, along a route that passed over Saudi Arabia without entering the airspace of the region, according to those that reported about this strike. So 8 F-15 aircrafts and 4 F-35 aircrafts took part in the strike, and the missiles, they traveled a massive distance from the Red Sea to Doha in Qatar. Israel did not confirm the type of the weapons that was used in this attack either, but the operational idea is clear. Strike far away without being close. Use the aircrafts not only as a platform that drops a bomb, but as a platform that brings the weapon to a better launching point. Technologically, this is a significant change. Strategically, it is a message to the entire region. Doha was a test of range and surprise. Iran is a test of depth and defense. Because with Qatar, The question was how Israel managed to reach such a distant target. With Iran, the question is bigger. Can Israel threaten deep targets inside a huge protected, distant country without sending its aircrafts into every layer of Iranian air defensive systems and endangering them? This is where the technology connects directly to the current situation. Iran is not only in a military campaign right now, it is also in a diplomatic campaign. On one side, President Trump is pushing for an agreement. There is talk about a temporary framework, about 60 days of quiet, about reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, and about dealing with enriched uranium. On the other side, Iran is still not behaving like a country that is giving up its cards. It is hardening its position, talking about conditions, demanding that Lebanon be included in the ceasefire agreement, and declaring that it will not abandon the terrorist organization Hezbollah in Lebanon. This is not a side that is just outside of the main agreement. This is not a side detail. This is the whole picture. Iran's foreign minister made clear that ending the war must also include an Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon, and said that Iran will not give up on Hezbollah. In other words, Tehran is trying to turn Hezbollah into part of the price of this agreement. You want quiet in Hormuz? You want the nuclear deal? Then talk about Lebanon as well. Limit Israel. Leave us our favorite arm against the northern communities of Israel. And at the same time, the IDF is once again exposing what Hezbollah built in southern Lebanon. Tunnels, operational maps, living infrastructures, weapons depots, underground rooms, equipment designed to allow the organization to fight from above and from below the ground. This is not an organization waiting for the Lebanese politics. This is a fighting system built over years as part of Iran's strategy against Israel. So when Israel looks at an agreement with Iran, it is not looking only at a centrifuge. It is examining the entire system around them, the launchers, the tunnels, the money that Hezbollah is building, that the Houthis are raising, the missiles, the terrorist weapons, the Strait of Hormuz, and the question of whether Tehran is now receiving the time to rebuild what was damaged. And here we return again to the technology, because if Iran uses depth, bunkers, tunnels, and distance to protect itself, Israel needs the capabilities that shorten this distance, capabilities that allow it to hit deep targets, air defensive systems, protection infrastructure, and sensitive points without sending every aircraft into every danger zone. That's exactly the meaning of long-range air-launched weapons. They do not replace the Air Force, they expand it. They give the aircrafts the different kind of power, not only to enter and to strike, but to stand outside the door and send a weapon that arrives very quickly. And before we continue, if you want to understand the Middle East in real time, not through empty headlines, but through the real story that connects Iran, Hezbollah, Lebanon, the missiles, the diplomacy, and our lives here in Israel, click the like, share this report, and do not forget to hit the subscribe button on TBN Israel so you never miss another update of Boots on the Ground. You can now invest in Israel, home to one of the world's most innovative economies, with the same ease as investing in the American markets. Over the last 12 months, Israel's Tel Aviv 35 stock index surged 95% in the United States dollar terms compared to the S&P 500's 15% gain. And the outperformance is consistent over 2, 5, and 10-year periods. And since mid-2002, the shekel, the Israeli currency, has appreciated 60% against the United States dollar. These figures, they represent unmanaged market index. Not actual client returns, and past performance is no guarantee for future success. I'm excited to introduce my trusted friends and paid sponsors, Wise Money Israel. We know their CEO and his family personally for years, and we have complete confidence in their integrity. Licensed in Israel and SEC registered in the United States, Wise Money Israel manages approximately $120 million for clients from over 30 nations, offering expert access to Israeli stocks and bonds for those seeking growth, diversification, or to fulfill their biblical calling. So if you want to invest in Israel, visit wisemoneyisrael.com/TBN. Again, that's wisemoneyisrael.com/TBN for a free consultation today. We are here to bring you the truth from the ground, to explain what's happening behind the headlines, and to make sure that you do not miss the moments when the Middle East changes right before our eyes. And now, to the most important point. A weapon like this does not work alone. It needs precise intelligence. It needs aircraft that is capable of carrying it. It needs route planning. It needs coordination with other systems. And sometimes it also needs a preliminary strike on detection and air defensive systems. That's why when we hear about strikes on the Iranian air defensive systems, on the radars, on the launchers, on military infrastructures, we need to understand that these are not always separate events. Sometimes this is the way to open a window. First, you blind the defense's systems. Then you damage its ability to respond. Then you send a precise weapon towards the real target. And that's also the difference between an operation and a message. An operation hits one target. A message makes the enemy ask what else is exposed. If Iran understands that missiles or fast weapons can arrive from an aircraft, that's not directly above the target. It has to rethink the entire space. It is no longer enough to place an air defense battery around the sensitive site and mark the familiar approach routes. Iran must prepare for a threat that can open from another angle, at a high speed, with a launch, shorter response time, much shorter response time. This also puts pressure on Hezbollah, the terrorist organization in Lebanon, because the same principle applies in the Lebanese arena. Even if the ranges and the weapons are different, a tunnel can hide fighters, a warehouse can hide rockets, a command post can move underground. But if Israel has the combination of intelligence, precision weapons, and the ability to strike quickly, then even underground infrastructures becomes vulnerable. Iran built its axis of evil around a simple idea: keep the fire away from home. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the Houthis in Yemen, militias in Iraq and Syria. Each front is supposed to keep Israel busy, deter it, and push the war away from Tehran. But over the past year, Israel has been trying to break that logic, not only to chase Iran's messengers, but to strike the source, the infrastructure, and the systems that connect all the fronts. The capability attributed to Israel fits exactly into this picture. It tells Iran distance is no longer enough. Proxies no longer guarantee immunity. And even if you try to fortify your depth, Israel will look for a way to reach it. This does not mean that the war becomes simpler. It means the opposite. A weapon like this is expensive. It's complex. It requires high level of intelligence. It is not suitable for every mission. And it's not immune to interception. Advanced defensive systems can deal with fast threats, especially if they receive good early warning. So, we must not turn this into a story of Israeli magic. This is not a technological fairy tale. It is a difficult, expensive, rare military capability that only becomes meaningful when it is connected to a wider operational plan. But even without exaggerating, it is clear why Iran is worried, because for years Iran tried to build layers of protection: distance, depth, tunnels, air defenses, and a ring of proxies. Now, it sees that Israel is looking for a way to take apart every layer separately. An interim agreement can stop the shooting for a few weeks. It can reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It can calm the oil markets. It could give President Trump a victory photo. But it does not necessarily dismantle Iran's missile program. It does not necessarily disconnect Hezbollah from Tehran. And it does not necessarily answer the question of where all the enriched uranium is, who touches it, and when. And that's why Israel cannot settle for the diplomatic statement alone. It must continue to read the reality through what's happening on the ground. In southern Lebanon, inside Iran, around Hormuz, and anywhere Tehran is trying to rebuild power while the world is talking about diplomacy. And here, in the end, is the story of this mysterious missile. It's not important only because it's fast. It's not important only because it is launched from an aircraft. It's important because it symbolizes the new war between Israel and Iran, a war in which one side is trying to hide behind depth, tunnels, proxies, and temporary arrangements, while the other side is trying to show that this depth no longer guarantees security. If the Iranian claim is true, Israel did not only hit the target, it hit the idea that Iran tried to build for itself, that it can defend the skies, hide its assets, activate Hezbollah, and buy time in front of the world. Now, the question is whether the agreement that is taking shape will stop the threat or simply give it another 60 days to reorganize. So keep spreading the truth, follow us, and most importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on TBN Israel's YouTube channel to hear our reports from the ground in real time. Keep looking for us, Mati Shoshani and Yair Pinto, on our social media platforms to see life in Israel in real time. And the best thing that you can do is pray. Because despite all the technologies, despite all the military achievements that Israel has, we know that the only reason we're still here is because God is faithful. So we need to remember that. We need to thank Him. We need to ask for His guidance in every step of the way and His protection of our troops, our children, our soldiers in this region, our allies, and our leaders. So keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.